Hi, I'm Chas, and you're watching Chas's Crazy Creations. Writing on glass? No problem. Here are a bunch of ways to do this easily. For this first option, I'm going to be using a picture frame, and you can easily do this on any window or mirror that you'd like. All you need is dry erase markers. You can write on glass with dry erase markers, and you can make checklists, reminders, leave notes or messages, or even just have fun drawing art on your windows and mirrors. When you're done, all you need is an eraser, and you just wipe it right off. Besides windows, you can also do this on mirrors. You can write yourself a reminder so you remember it for the next day, or you can leave a loved one a message. Once you're finished, use an eraser or a microfiber cloth to wipe off. For a reusable to-do list or task list, pull apart a dollar store frame, place a dry erase marker on a ribbon on the back of it, print out your printable to-do or task list and place it inside the frame. As you complete your activities, you can check them off, and then when you're done, erase and reuse it again and again. For this project, you're going to need some chalk markers. I'm using white ones, but they come in a variety of colors. And you'll need a plain window to work on or an area of glass. Now, I've placed a trash bag on the opposite side of my glass so you can see what I'm doing a little easier. And I'm just going to start by drawing a line onto the glass with my chalk marker. And then I'm just going to decorate the line however I want. Once that's finished, I'm going to add some extra lines and decorate those as well. There's no right or wrong answer in how you want to do this, so have a little fun while you're creating it. Now, it doesn't need to be perfect, but if you want a straight line, I'm grabbing a ruler, and I'm going to draw one line down the center, and then I'm going to draw two more lines midway from the edge to the center on either side of that. At the end of each of those lines, I'm going to go ahead and draw 3 different ornaments. One will be a heart with some dots, the other will be more of a round ornament with layers, and the last one may be more of a diamond shape. You can have a lot of fun creating any sort of ornament design you like. Just have fun and be creative. Now you can make as many ornaments as you want. I just made the 3, and then I'm adding a little bow to the top of the string that's holding each of these ornaments. And then after that, I'm going to make it snow. So I'm going to add several little dots all over the rest of the window, around the garland, and in between. You can make your dots bigger or smaller. You could give them defined shapes if you like. The possibilities are really endless. Here's a quick look at my design, and you can have fun doing whatever you want. Get the kids involved. They'll have so much fun saying you allowed them to draw on the glass. Here it is with the trash bag off. Now it's a little harder to see on video, but I guarantee it's much clearer to see during the day. But we're going to take a look as the sun sets as well. Here's a quick look at dusk, and you can see it from the reverse side on the outside as well. And here's a look in the evening when it's dark outside. Here's a quick glance at another window that I did as well. These chalk markers are so easy to use and makes writing on windows so easy. The best part about this is I can leave it up all season long, and when the season is finished, I'll just grab a damp rag and wipe off the entire window. The chalk comes right off. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Here's another way you can write on glass, and I'll be using a dollar store candle. Grab some apple barrel paint pens and start with the brown and draw the base of a tree. Add some branches and color it in. I added a red heart in the center of the tree trunk. Then I added a variety of colors and started coloring in leaves all over the rest of the tree. I added leaves that fall to the ground, as well as some on the ground as well. I had fun using a variety of colors of red, orange, yellow, green, and more. This is an easy craft that anyone can do, and it makes a great gift for anyone to take home after your holiday celebration as well. You can use permanent markers or paint pens to also draw on glass, and I'll be using a ceramic mug for this DIY. Next, I'm going to grab an apple barrel paint pen in the color black, and I'll also be using orange. And I'm going to take the black paint pen and I'll make 2 snowman eyes and color them in. And then I will also draw on 5 little dots for my coal pieces of my mouth. And these don't need to be perfect because what lump of coal is perfect, right? So I'm just going to finish drawing those up and making them the way I want them to be. And then next I'm going to go ahead and grab my orange paint marker and I'm going to draw in a carrot nose. and I'll color that in. If you don't want to use a paint marker, you could also use a Sharpie. Once the carrot nose is dry, I'm going to draw a few little lines onto the carrot nose with a black marker, and then let that dry. Now, if you want to keep this forever, you're going to want to give it a couple of coats of dishwasher safe Mod Podge, but if you leave it as is, you can wipe the whole thing off with a rubbing alcohol pad and use it again for another season. For this project, I grabbed a dollar store candle and I'm cleaning it with rubbing alcohol so that my paint will stick. And using my apple barrel paint markers and the same concept as the last project, I'm going to go ahead and draw on 2 eyes, and then I'm going to make my little coal dots for my mouth as well, creating that snowman look again and coloring them all in. This easy design can be used on so many different things. I also love that kids can really get in on the fun with this project as well. Now I'm grabbing my orange apple barrel paint marker and I'm making that carrot nose again. And then once that orange paint dries, I'm going to go ahead and use the black marker again to draw on the little carrot lines to give it some dimension. So here's a quick look at the snowman, but I also cut out a little scrap of fabric that I had, and I'm going to tie that around the candle, and I'm going to create a little scarf for him. Here is another variation with a smaller candle holder. Now the great thing about this is you can use paint pens or permanent markers for this. If you want to make it permanent, you'll need to coat it with dishwasher safe Mod Podge or another sealer of your choice. Otherwise, you can wipe it off with rubbing alcohol. For this easy DIY, we're going to be writing on glass, but I've left the back off so that you can see it's clear. And I'm going to be placing a stencil on top of the glass. I'm going to place some painter's tape on either side of the stencil to hold it in place. And I'll be using window wax for this DIY. Now I've placed some window wax in a mason jar and I'm going to be using a stencil brush. And I'm going to be tapping the window wax onto the stencil. This will hopefully prevent it from bleeding underneath the stencil. And I will do this to coat the entire stencil. This is another way of writing on glass and it is not permanent. So I'll continue doing this, and then once I have the entire thing done, I then carefully remove the painter's tape and then carefully remove the stencil, and I let it dry completely. Here it is all finished, and you could use this to write on any window or mirror. Now I use this so that the light could shine through it and made it kind of like a sun catcher. This is like what our parents and grandparents did back in the day. When you're all done at the end of the season or with whatever you've created on your glass, you simply use a damp cloth or microfiber cloth and wipe it off. This was actually meant to clean glass, so it's a great way to draw on your glass and mirrors and then be able to remove it. Now, another way you can have fun with glass and write on glass is to use Santa snow. So I'll be placing a stencil onto the glass again and then placing blue painter's tape to hold the stencil into place. Now I simply spray on the Santa snow over the stencil, and then I remove the painter's tape and carefully lift the stencil to reveal the design. Here is the completed design, and again, this can go on any window or mirror in your home. And here's a look again at how the light shines through it if you were to use it as a sun catcher. Once the season is done, simply grab a damp rag or microfiber cloth and just wipe all that Santa snow off. Want to be notified of future videos? Look for the link in the description below. Now, another way you can write on glass, and I'll be using this little ornament that I found at the thrift store, is to use gallery glass. This is more of a permanent fix, although if in direct sunlight, the color will fade. For this project, I used a paintbrush and I dipped it in the different colored paints and then colored it into all the different geometric patterns on this piece of glass. I painted all the different colors that I wanted. I let it dry completely afterwards, and here's a look at how it turned out. Another way to draw on glass is using acrylic paint that is good for glass, and I'll be using this IKEA cabinet door that I found on clearance for this DIY. I'll be using some folk art stencils for this, and I flipped the glass over, and I placed the first stencil on, adhering it with some stencil tape. I used Apple Barrel multi-surface paint in the color white. I grabbed my stencil brush and I dipped it in the paint, and then I offloaded the brush and then tapped the brush and the paint onto the stencil in glass. By offloading as much paint as possible, it should prevent bleed through underneath the stencil. I did this until the entire stencil was finished. Then I carefully lifted the stencil off. I flipped the cabinet door over and then placed my next stencil on top, placing the stencil tape on it, and then using multi-service paint in the color Burnt Umber for my mousse. And I repeated the stenciling process until the entire mousse was coated. I then carefully removed the stencil. Now, using this acrylic paint that was meant for glass is more of a permanent answer, so this will stay on my glass forever unless I were to intentionally scrape it off. And I hope this inspires you to try writing on glass with some of these techniques. I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel and my blog at chascrazycreations.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Want 21 sensible home hacks to make you a smarter homeowner? Look for the link in the description below.